Have you ever thought about the last time you ever drank something that was powdered? And what do I mean by that? I mean like things like Tang, like Kool-Aid. I feel like for me it's been a very long time, and I was a big fan of Tang. I thought Tang was amazing, delicious, whatever it happened to be. I would not call it juice. It was definitely orange water, but man, it was amazing. Anyways, hello everybody, this is That Manga Dude, and welcome to a good old-fashioned reading log. Today, it is the July 2024 reading log. I'm going to be talking about everything that I read during July 2024. There is a ton of manga and one manhwa, so really excited to get into it. And as always, thanks for watching. You guys are awesome. I don't know why I'm saying that now. It just really felt like saying that because I don't know. It's been a really good month. So yeehaw! Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that I read in July of 2024 is the good old-fashioned Komi Can't Communicate Volume 30. Yes, it is 30 volumes by Tomita Oda. And all I can say about this is it's Komi. Thank you. Alright, up next, decided to read the third volume of Glitch from Shima Sha. So this is a really awesome, like, sci-fi, kind of slice-of-life mystery series. It's a really fun one, and I love this volume. We're getting towards, I think, towards the climax of the series. We're starting to learn more about this world, and there's some really weird stuff that's going on in the town. If you haven't heard me talk about Glitch, basically it follows a story about this family who moves to this random little town, and everything just seems a little bit off. There seems to be like kind of like a weird like alien presence. There's like these like creatures that keep showing up. One of them is like this guy with the wings on his head. There's like this little bug-looking character, and it's all like seems to stem from the forest. And yeah, so it's about them investigating this these weird occurrences and see what's truly going on. So really like this volume. I really love this series quite a bit. Shima Sha is awesome, and yeah, can't wait to read the next one. Alright, up next, excited to read A Brief Moment of Ichika from Natsu Tadano. This is volume 2, and yeah, I actually really like this series. I'm surprised that Kodansha hasn't really talked about it as much because, man, it's really good. But basically it follows a story about this girl here who has a terminal illness, and she manages to live past like her due date, or whatever you would like to call it. And after she meets a professor in college, she's able to live happily and whatever stuff like that. But one day he just randomly just like disappears. He stops teaching, and you come to find out that he also has a debilitating disease. So it's about them living and struggling with each other, and kind of developing a relationship through there. So I know it sounds kind of weird, but they are both adults. So and he doesn't necessarily, the teacher does not take advantage of his seniority in a way, or at least in the way that you would expect. So that's good to see. And I just really like how they tackle like the themes of like, you know, knowing you're living with a terminal illness, and living for the moment, living to truly feel happiness, and not feel like it's all going to be falling apart, which I feel like is a daily struggle for people who have a debilitating disease. So it's a really great series. I love it a lot, and I loved this second volume. Alright, up next, decided to read the first volume of Speedgrapher from Tomozo, based on the story by Gonzo. Yeah, I thought this first volume was pretty solid. I do think this print is a little not great. I haven't been really a big fan of most of Titan Manga's prints, mostly because the paper they use is really cheap. They feel very flimsy, I guess, is like the best way to put it, but the actual story, Speedgrapher, was pretty cool. Basically, it follows a story about this world where like people can gain like these abilities and stuff like that. And his is like he can basically use like a camera to like enhance and attack people. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. It's full of like some pretty interesting attacks and like abilities and stuff like that. Interesting character designs. I do think that like some of the paneling is okay. It's like nothing too crazy, but overall I thought it was a pretty cool first volume, and I'm very much interested to read the rest of the series. Alright, coming up next, Magic Knight Rayearth Part 1, Book 3 from Clamp. This is the last volume of the first part, so before we get into the sci-fi mecha part of this series. Yeah, so it was really interesting to see how this first part ended. It is so interesting because like the first two volumes, you know, we're getting to learn about the world, we're starting to build up like these characters, we're starting to understand it, and it feels like volume 3 just kind of kind of ends. It ends very abruptly, so I'm really glad there's going to be there is a second part to this, because yeah, if it had just ended where this ends, I would be pretty mad, to be completely honest, because it really just feels like it just kind of was really rushed. So hopefully part 2 kind of fills in some of those gaps and stuff like that. But overall, this is a really great series. I love the character designs, love the art, love the action. Paneling is great. The overall just like armor designs and mecha designs and just in general just looks really, really good. I would say this is one of Clamp's best looking works in my particular opinion, and probably one of the better ones in terms of story as well. I think there isn't anything super problematic that can be featured in some of their other works in this one, so that's good to see. Maybe I'll change my mind if I read part 2. Maybe there's something will happen, but yeah, overall it was a weird ending, but I really, really did enjoy a good chunk of this volume. Not all of it, but a good chunk of it. Alright, up next, Metalist Volume 3 from Suru Maikata. Fantastic, love this series so much. We do actually get a minor time skip in this one, so that's pretty cool. We get to see our main character. She's really growing, truly understanding, and becoming a better ice skater. Man, it's just so good. I love this series so much. Oh, and the art is so good. It's so beautiful. Man, Inori and Tsukasa, great partners, great coach and like student. Love them a lot. Cannot wait to keep reading this series. Alright, up next, I decided to read the second volume of The Girl with the Saku Eyes from Shinsuke Sarato. This just continues to be a really cute little, kind of like rom-com. I love the art. I love that it's like full color. The main character is very silly, very goofy, and like is totally head over heels for this guy, and the guy is definitely crushing on her as well. So let's see, and hopefully they have like some kind of moment together. But I really like this volume. I like this series quite a bit. Up next, decided to read the second volume of Blessed from Yukino Sonoyama. I'm so happy to finally have the second volume of this. But yeah, we just get to see like more like different makeup artists, which is really cool. We get to see this girl here really push her like modeling skills to the test, and like yeah, just I don't know. It's a really great series about modeling, about makeup, especially about makeup. This is because makeup is like the main focus of the series. Getting to see like people just talk about makeup and seeing like how well you could tell that this artist really kind of studied makeup, watched a lot of tutorials, watched a lot of people do it, because like the art looks really good. I've watched way too many makeup shows, to be fair. So I could tell that that person really put the work into like truly understand and focus on like making sure that all of the drawings look accurate to how people who do makeup do it. So overall, it's a great series. I cannot wait to read the next volume. I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but that's because it's true. There's just a lot of really great series I just happen to be reading recently, including Dan Dan Volume 8 from Yokinobu Tatsu. Love this series. It continues to be so flippin' stupid and awesome. We get to meet a new character in this one, which I believe he's on the... No. Oh, well, I guess he's kind of on the back. It's this guy right here. But that guy is super weird and super silly. But yeah, continuing to love this series. It's so bonkers, so crazy. But there's actually just a really well-crafted and heartfelt story at the middle of it. A really cute budding romance. Just love it a lot. It's just, I don't know, it's a really great series. Alright, up next, decided to read Volume 1 of Konoha's story, The Steam Ninja Scrolls, the manga, by Masashi Kishimoto, Sho Hinata, and Natsuo Sai. Follows the story of Kurenai and, why did I just forget his name? Oh my gosh. Guys with this guy with the sword. Wait, what's his name? Sarutobi. Oh my gosh. Why am I blanking on his name? Oh, that's embarrassing. Okay, I am not gonna... Oh well. Oh, Asuma. Asuma Sarutobi. Holy moly. You can laugh at me for that, because that took way too long, especially because I do already know his name. Anyways, it follows the daughter that you kind of sort of meet in the original Naruto, at least when Kurenai has her. and has like her baby, and then it's like, oh, look, it's so cute. But like, yeah, so that series, this series follows the story of her and how she's training to become a shinobi. So yeah, it's kind of a sillier work. It's a lot less serious than the other spin-off manga series, which focuses on Sasuke and stuff like that, which I did review last month. But overall, I thought this was pretty cool. It's pretty funny. It's like not necessarily the best thing in the world, but like considering that's like another story within the Naruto universe, it's still a great time. So if you like Naruto, I would say definitely give it a shot. Alright, up next, decided to read the second volume of Since I Could Die Tomorrow from Sumako Kari. Really love this series. It's just like a really interesting existential kind of like, almost like coming of age, slice of life series, following a story about this girl who like has like a, kind of like a moment where she feels like she's about to die, and goes to the hospital, finds out it's like something completely normal, but she kind of has a change, like a turning point in her life, trying to realize that maybe she should try to live her life more, because you never know when life is going to end. So it's about her kind of pursuing what she wants and stuff like that, while also trying to navigate getting older and trying to like just figure out how she's going to make it through life as things become harder and harder as you grow up. So really love this work. I do think sometimes the art can be a little bit funky. I think some of the facial like expressions and some of like the way that the characters are posed is not necessarily the best, but overall I've been really liking the plot. I think it's really well written. A lot of really interesting topics and themes that are communicated and talked about throughout the series. So yeah, can't wait to read the next one. Alright, up next, decided to read the last volume of the Delink H from Nemu Yoko. This is volume 4, and overall this series was kind of weird. Don't really know how I truly feel about it. I think this last volume I thought was fine. I still think they did something that I'm not the biggest fan of. I think it was kind of weird and just strange. But anyways, overall, this series was okay. I don't think it was completely like amazing. I don't really think it was super bad. I just think it has some really weird moments, specifically between the main character and her soon-to-be brother-in-law. Basically, this series follows a story about this girl here who used to be a delinquent and now is marrying into this family, but she has no idea how to be a housewife because she's been delinquent all her life. So she's trying to learn while her her husband-to-be is off at work. So yeah. I just don't really like the relationship, or specifically how the brother-in-law feels about the soon-to-be sister-in-law. He's just kind of weird and like is like totally crushing on her, and it's just, I don't know, it's really odd. And there's some weird stuff that happens in this volume. So overall, I thought the series was okay. I mean, I think the art's really good, and some of the story elements can be pretty fun and kind of goofy and kind of silly, but overall, I don't know, it could have been better, at least in my opinion. I think there's just some things that were just a little too weird for me, and I don't know, it just kind of icked me out. Alright, up next, decided to read all 4 volumes of Mermaid Saga. So this is my fiance's collection of this series. So this is like the, not the original print, but this is the physical prints that they did for like the Tankobon collection. Yeah, really love this. I thought this was really good. It follows a story about this one guy who's been living forever because he accidentally ate mermaid flesh, and now he's kind of like traveling through time, basically. Meets this girl, and they kind of travel together throughout time and encounter various people who are dealing with this mermaid thing. So various things happen with mermaid, but specifically mermaid flesh gives you the possibility of living forever, but most people actually end up turning into like these monsters and stuff like that. So it's about them kind of experiencing and meeting people who live in this world and have had something to do with mermaids. So overall, I thought it was really cool. It's a really creepy series, I would say. I would say it's one of Rumiko Takahashi's most darkest works. Specifically, just the subject matter and just like the moments, and just like there's a lot of creepy moments throughout multiple volumes. You can actually get this now in 2 large omnibuses that Viz just recently re-released. They look really, really good. So honestly, I would say give it a shot. If you like Rumiko Takahashi work, you have to pick it up. If you like horror stuff, definitely give it a shot. I think it's actually really, really good. Okay, up next, decided to read the second volume of Snowball Earth from Yuhiro Tsuji Suku. Yeah, we just got to learn more about the world. We start to get to meet like kind of like a village that this girl is from. Overall, I've been really enjoying this. This has been a really great kind of like sci-fi, post-apocalyptic action series. A lot of fun. The main character is great. The action is fantastic, and just some really cool art just in general. And yeah, I just like the premise, which I think if you've never watched my videos before, I'll tell you right now. Basically, the premise is this guy has been training his whole life to basically be the hero of the Earth. So, i.e., like the guy from Evangelion, or like any of those characters who are like, oh, you're gonna be the hero. Yeah, and so as he's proceeding to like do this mission to defeat the aliens and stuff like that, basically everything goes awry, and the robot that he controls basically sacrifices himself in order to save the pilot, and the pilot goes into deep sleep. He wakes up, like, I think it's 14 years later, allegedly on Earth, and he's like, I can't wait to see everybody and be like, look, the hero has returned. And as he opens it up, boom, the whole Earth is covered in snow, and there's no one to be found. So it's about him trying to figure out what the heck happened, and yeah, and hopefully try to find humanity again. So overall, really enjoyed it, and yeah, definitely excited for the next one. Alright, up next, this is Kaina in the Great Sea from Tsutomu Nihei and Itoe Takamoto. Yeah, this was an interesting kind of like, maybe like a kinda, sort of like sci-fi, almost like a post-apocalyptic series, but basically follows a story about this guy, this person here, who lives on top of like this giant kind of like mushroom-looking tree thing. I don't really know exactly what it's supposed to be, but clearly it's like this like world that's like very... there's not a lot of people living around here, so it's about him as he's trying to like, or he's just kind of living his life, and then suddenly people from below appear on his little like land, and he's like, whoa, I've never had people ever actually come up here before. So it's an interesting premise. I like the action a lot. I think the art is really good. Like, just look at that, like super beautiful stuff. But overall, like you know, it's pretty solid. There's nothing really to write home about, to be honest. Like, I thought it was just pretty okay. It starts off pretty slow, so we did have some action-y moments, but in terms of like where the plot's going, I'm not too sure. So definitely interested to see how this series continues to read as we continue. Okay, now we have Kowloon Generic Romance Volume 7 from Jun Miyazuki. Oh my goodness. We definitely hit some crazy plot points that I was not expecting. Something is very much going on and very much gone awry in this story. I am so intrigued. I'm so interested to see where this series is going to continue to go, because yeah, it's really got my head scratching, and man, it's just a very, very fantastic kind of like sci-fi, slice of life, mystery. It's a lot of things, really, and it's just, it does it all super well. I would say this is probably my favorite Jun Miyazuki work. I know a lot of people really like After the Rain, but this one specifically is very, very good. Okay, up next, I decided to read If My Favorite Pop Idol Made It to the Budokan, I Would Die from Aoi Hirao. Yeah, the series just continues to be kind of just adorable, basically. The romance is extremely slow burn. When I say extremely, I mean like it's basically non-existent, but yeah, I just continue to root for our main characters, and hopefully they start dating some point soon. Alrighty, so up next, I decided to read the last 2 volumes of Shonen no Boy Soprano from Yuki Kamatani. Yeah, it was a really lovely ending to a series that I think is just super fantastic and 100% worth reading. It was beautiful. There was a lot of really great moments, specifically in Volume 7, but Volume 8 was a great ending as well. And we get some more stories about the Russian guy, and get to learn more of his backstory as well. So overall, I think this series is just wonderful. Beautiful, has a lot of great moments, a lot of great characters. The art is gorgeous. I love the surrealism that they use throughout to illustrate how the music is sung and how it feels to be singing the music and to be in the music. So I think it's just a wonderful representation of singing and of choir music in general. So overall, definitely highly suggest reading this. It's so, so good. Alright, up next, decided to read the 11th volume of Blue Box from Koji Miura. Yes, we just get more character development, especially with the high school, or not the high school, sorry, the middle school friend of our main girl here. They're cute, I love them so much, I'm rooting for them, and hopefully their friendship begins to continue to be mended as we continue out through the series. But man, I just love Blue Box, it's a really great series. Is it a sports series? No, not necessarily, but it's a pretty solid rom-com or romantic drama, whatever you want to call it. I love it a lot. It's been a great time. Up next, decided to read the 8th volume of Dark Gathering from Kenichi Kondo, and this one was really creepy, but it was really good. Continue to love this series. Not much else to really say about it. You kind of just need to read it if you haven't already. But yeah, probably one of the best shonen horror series that's currently releasing, in my opinion, specifically. Up next, I decided to read Just Like Mona Lisa, Volume 1 from Sumuji Yoshimura. This is one of the volumes that I talked about in the FVI, and overall I thought it was pretty good. I think the premise is pretty interesting. I think the character designs are pretty solid. I love like the little hints of blue that they add throughout the story, especially with like this moment here. This is so beautiful. But basically follows the story really quick about this character here who has no gender, because in this world you don't have a gender until you hit the age of 12, and then you decide if you want to be a boy or a girl. But this character, the main character, has not chosen and has continued to stay genderless up until the age of, I believe, 17 or 18. So yeah, so it's about that kind of like talking about that. It's almost like an allegory of real life where gender is really not necessarily decided upon until I would say later in life. Obviously people dictate, and that's kind of what they talk about specifically with societal pressure, peer pressure, to be one or the other. But to be honest, gender is so fluid, and like if you feel like you're not male, you're not female, or you feel like you're both, you're none, you're, whatever you feel, I feel like that is totally up to you. That is your decision to make. Like, I don't think that is anybody else's decision to make, even if you hear hundreds, thousands of people trying to give their opinions about blah, 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 blah. Oh, gender is only male, female. They can shut up. That is up for you to decide, okay? And I think the series talks about it and tackles it in a very tasteful way. So definitely give it a shot. I think it's pretty cool. Alright, up next, I decided to read Your Letter from Hyun Cho. This is a manhwa that my fiance has been super excited about. She, as soon as it got announced, she was like kicking her legs, totally super excited to read this, pick it up. And yeah, I was just excited. I got hyped up because she was hyped up. And you know what? The hype was real and was well deserved. This was a fantastic read. I actually did a full review of this manhwa in its own video because I think it deserved it. It was just that good. The art is absolutely gorgeous. The story is interesting and has a lot of great themes. It's just so good. To give you a quick synopsis, basically follows the story about this girl here who has moved back to her hometown after an incident at the school that she was going to. And as she's moved back to the school, she obviously feels like a fish out of water. She doesn't know anybody, but she finds a letter within her desk, and the letter gives her like information about the school and tells her, hey, you can find the next letter at this. So it's basically about her like going on this journey of in a way finding these letters, but also in self-healing as well, because she went through a lot at the beginning of the story, which I don't want to spoil because I'd like you to read it. But yeah, it's super good. I just love it a lot, and it's so worth a pickup. Definitely beautiful. The color pages are gorgeous. A lot of great moments. If you want my full opinions, definitely go check out that video. I'll link it somewhere over here. Alright, up next, decided to read Captain Momo Secret Base Volume 1 from Kenji Saruta. I talked about this in the FVI, and I thought it was pretty good as well. Pretty interesting, like sci-fi, kind of existential, almost like slice of life series. Follows a story about this girl here, Momo, who is basically talking about her daily life as she lives on this ship, because she's like the captain of like kind of like a frigate. And yeah, so it's about her living with this cat as well, and them just kind of being there. So she's kind of weird. she's kind of strange. She talks about like the things that she's doing or whatever, and yeah, it's just kind of like a little odd read, but I liked it a lot. Definitely for an older audience, because there is a lot of nudity in this one. When I mean a lot of nudity, I mean like about 80% of the volume has nudity in it. So if that is something you don't want to see or you don't want your kids to see, definitely keep that in mind for this specific volume. But overall, I thought it was pretty good, and it features Kenji Tsuruta's art, which is always super gorgeous. Alright, up next, decided to read the first volume of Search and Destroy from Atsushi Kaneko. Love this a lot. I talked about this one in the FBI as well. You could definitely tell when I was reading stuff for the FBI. And I thought this volume was super awesome, super amazing. Love the action, love the art, love the characters. I really enjoyed the story. This was just an overall, just a fantastic first volume. I thought it was really, really good. And I just love like the kind of the unique art style they go with. I love the heavy use of black. It definitely feels like it was inspired by Western comics, which is really neat, but still has like kind of a background in Japanese manga art style. So loved it a ton. Definitely give this a shot, and you know, supporting a smaller publisher like Fantagraphics and also Manga Splaining Extra is always super cool. So definitely give it a shot. Okay, had to turn the light on. It got a little too dark in here, at least for my taste. So up next, I read the third volume of Marriage Toxin from Joe Miyake and Mizuki Yoda. We get to finish up the arc that we were going in, which was the like the heir to a big corporation's daughter's like camping trip thing, fighting against like the sound guy. It was really, really good. I like this volume a lot. I like I love that the insect guy gets his like gets a beautiful wedding, and it's just, I don't know, this series is so wacky and kind of strange, but man, the action is also super cool as well. It's a really fun just action comedy, all about assassins. So if you're looking for something that's kind of like Spy Family but with a lot more action, definitely give this a shot. Alright, up next, decided to read the first volume of Yokai Watch from Noriyuki Konishi. This is a volume that I've been looking for a while, and yes, that sounds really weird because it's a kid's manga, but this series, it's just so adorable looking, and I don't know, there's something about it that just makes me want to read it, but excuse me, basically it follows a story about this character here. His name is Nate Adams, and he basically finds this like kind of like crazy looking watch, and ends up meeting this ghost like butler thing, and he's like, hey, you can make friends with all the yokai if you have this watch here, a doodle-a-doodle-a-doo. So yeah, basically it's kind of like an episodic series as he meets a variety of different yokai and becomes friends with them. So it's cute, it's fun, it's silly, and yeah, I just kind of enjoy it. It's just a good time. Alright, up next, decided to read the single volume of Wild Calm from Yumi Tamura. Yeah, this was an interesting short story collection, which I was not expecting. I thought this was going to be like a just a one-shot in general, but it was actually a short story collection with a variety of stories that I thought were a mixed bag. I think some of them were kind of interesting. I think the one about like the firefighter slash magician, whatever, was pretty cool, but overall, I mean, I thought it was okay. I think it was pretty good. Some of the art's pretty good as well. It's Yumi Tamura, so if you like her work, I mean, you're gonna like this. So overall, I thought it was pretty okay. Would I heavily suggest it to anyone? I mean, unless you're a Yumi Tamura fan, not really. I think reading Yumi Tamura's other work would actually just be worth it, to be fair. Alright, up next, I decided to read the second volume of Wild 7 from Mikiya Mochizuki. Yeah, this series is pretty interesting, very old school, but basically follows a story about like these like criminals who end up becoming like a squadron for the police in a way, known as the Wild 7. And yeah, it's just about their wild antics as they proceed to do a variety of not necessarily good things, but definitely some things that will help the greater good. So overall, I thought it was pretty cool. I love the action. I love the old school art style. Yeah, it's aged pretty well. It is definitely really weird to read a manga where it's read from like an English standpoint, where I read like a comic book instead of a manga, but I mean, it's still pretty cool. It's cool to have it. Alright, up next, decided to read Boi The Rock Volume 2 from Aki Hamazi, and this series is so weird and wacky. Boi is so strange and so weird, but also all of her, like, I almost said co-workers, all of her bandmates are also pretty strange, but we definitely get some pretty cool character development with Boi specifically towards the end of this volume, so good to see that the character is actually growing and not just being like just a total, like a total hikikomori, total weirdo, which, I mean, she still is, but like, it's really cool to see her character grow. I really appreciate that. So definitely interested to read the next one. Alright, up next, excited to read the next 2 volumes of Soul Eater that I have, which is 16 and 17 from Atsushi Okubo. Well, it feels like we're really getting into Endgame now, because like we still have Death the Kid who's been captured still. We have the return of Krona, which is pretty cool, and yeah, the series is awesome. I love it a ton. I think it's fantastic, and I definitely can't wait to keep reading the rest of it, because yeah, getting close to the end. Alright, up next, excited to read DN Angle, Volumes 3 and 4. Kind of interesting what happens in Volume 4, actually, because the main, like, bad guy's name is Dark, I'm pretty sure, gets, like, kidnapped by, like, basically what most people would consider the main antagonist, and, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm very curious as to what's going to happen by the next volume. Overall, I've been really enjoying the series. I think it's actually really fun. The art's really cool, and kind of silly, just, like, across the board. I love, like, the kind of weird romantic tension that's going on between the 4 characters. But overall, I really like it. I think it's pretty great, and definitely interested to keep reading this one. Alright, up next, decided to read the next 2 volumes of Kimi ni Todoke from Me to You that I had, which is from Kaoru no Shina. This is volumes 8 and 9. We get introduced to this blonde guy who is the absolute freaking worst. He just creates so many dang old problems, and he stinks! Oh, brother, this guy stinks! But overall, I love this series. I think it's really great. The next season of the anime just released, and I heard it's really good. So I definitely need to catch up and continue reading this. But finding volumes can be pretty difficult, so hopefully I have an easier time finding more volumes. Alright, up next, decided to read Go Go Monster from Taiyo Matsumoto. This was an absolutely beautiful and wonderful release. This is a one-shot from Taiyo Matsumoto. Follows the story about this kid over here, who basically has like this alleged ability to see ghosts and monsters from this other world, supposedly, and everything is just going awry over there, and it's like the series is kind of following the story about as he's growing up and kind of like realizing that maybe some of this stuff isn't real, and kind of losing the childlike wonder and creativity that he once had. So it's pretty interesting. I think it's one of those series that has like an open-ended story, so I think there's a lot of things you can take away from it, and I feel like there are a lot of things that you can contemplate about the story. Whether they're right or wrong, not too sure, to be completely fair, but overall I think I really liked it. Talked about this one in the FAI as well. Alright, up next, decided to read Are Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide from Volume 5 from Monet Sarai. They are now in South America and going into Central America, so really cool. Getting close to the United States. I don't know if they're going to go, but yeah, got to see some beautiful sights, and they got to deal with some pretty interesting people. I think it's really interesting to meet this one character who treats them in a very poor way. If you know about how the story is, and you kind of know how that person was treating them, but you get to see that character grow as well. So I think it's really cool to see characters grow who are not just the main cast. So overall, I love this series. It's so much fun to adventure with these 2 boys. They're so crazy, they're so fun, but they feel so genuine and real. I just love them a lot. Alright, up next, decided to read the first volume of Nos and Sakuro from Rariato. This is volume 1, following a story about these 2 girls here. One is Nos, the Nosferatu, and Sakuro, the vampire, as they kind of just live life and meet other like monster people, like a Frankenstein, a mummy, and various other characters. It's pretty fun. I don't know, I liked it. I had a good time with it. It's nothing to be taken too seriously, but like it's just fun. It's fun, it's cute. The art is really nice. I like it a lot. And yeah, just the characters are just very well written. So overall, really liked it. Can't wait to read the next one. Alright, up next, decided to read the one-shot Qualia Under the Snow from Kanaki. Really like this. I thought this was really good. Basically, it follows a story here about this college guy who meets this other guy who's like allegedly just kind of sleeps around and stuff like that. And yeah, it's about them developing their friendship together, and he's kind of like learning to be more understanding, and he's learning like what he truly wants out of a relationship. So it's a really interesting story. Kind of really tackles the ideas of like homosexuality and how relationships are seen from a heterosexual and a homosexual standpoint. Kind of interesting to see the various ways and views of the multiple characters that we meet throughout the story. So overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, and this release is fantastic. Kuma, aka Dempa, did a really good job with this. I liked it a lot. Alright, up next, I decided to read the 29th volume of Blue Exorcist by Kazue Kato because I had to, and this volume bamboozled me. That's all I'm gonna say. If you've read it, you know, and if you haven't, I'm not gonna say what that means, but this volume bamboozled me, and I was about to freak the F out if that was gonna be true. That's all I'm gonna say. But overall, love this series, fantastic, super happy to have read this. I am next, from my fiance's collection, I decided to read Mermaid Prince from Kaori Ozaki, which is another short story collection. This one is from Kaori Ozaki, who's the same creator as the God's Lie, I think, and The Golden Sheep. The Golden Sheep is actually a series that I happen to really enjoy, and this one is also really good as well. Follows the story of a variety of characters who kind of just are living life. Some of them are weirder than others. I prefer the last story, specifically the one about the Mermaid Prince, the most. I think it's really good and heartfelt and very beautiful. I also like the one about the author. I can't tell if the author one is associated with the first story. Actually, no, it is, sorry. I don't know if the library one is associated with the first story, but I also like the library story as well. So overall, pretty solid short story collection. Does have a couple of explicit moments, but overall, it's pretty good. Alright, up next, decided to read the second volume of BL Metamorphosis from Kaori Surutani. I just love this series. It's so great. Follows a story about this old grandma, who goes to a bookstore one day and starts reading BL and becomes fascinated and enjoying it, and meets this girl who's a bookseller, and it's about their unlikely friendship, talking about boys' love. It's great. It's cute. It's adorable. A lot of great moments between characters, and just overall, I love the art as well. I just think it's really good. And I like how the grandma is kind of acting like a mentor towards this girl as well. So overall, can't wait to get the next couple of volumes because I really need to catch up. Alright, after that I decided to read Throw Away the Suit Together from Ki Yang, Volume 1. And instead of a boys' love, this is a girls' love series, following a story about these two girls here who decide to move out to kind of like this island in Japan to get rid of basically everything and kind of just restart on life and try to just live life how they've always wanted to live. So it's pretty adorable. I think it's pretty good. I like the art a lot. I will say there are definitely a lot of very explicit moments, especially the last part of this, which I was not expecting at all. I was kind of blown away, but definitely very explicit, so just keep that in mind. You're going to be seeing a lot of things that you probably would not necessarily expect from a series that is not wrapped in Barnes & Noble, but I did actually really like it. I think there's a lot of touching moments, just a lot of interesting conversations and topics, especially around like homosexual couples, especially in Japan, and the struggles they face about getting married. So do really enjoy it. I thought it was pretty good, and yeah, really like the character designs, and yeah, interested to see how the story continues. And the last volume I decided to read for July 2024 is Card Fight Vanguard from Akira Ito. This is a kids manga following the story of these kids who play this card game, which is an actual card game I've only played once and thought was pretty cool, but that is about it. But yeah, it's pretty fun. It feels like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Light in terms of how like the story is written, but I did enjoy it. I thought it was pretty fun. They did a pretty good explanation of how the game is played. I do think it's really funny that there's just like a bajillion of like kind of like advertisements towards the end and also the beginning. I thought was really funny. But yeah, I did enjoy this, and if you like Yu-Gi-Oh, give it a shot. What can I say? I think it's pretty fun. And that is going to be it for this one. That was everything that I read in July 2024. What did you think of what I read? Have you read anything that I read this past month? Let me know in the comments below. Or let me know what you've been reading, because I always like to keep track of what you guys are reading, because maybe it'll be the next volume I decide to read. So yeah, give me your suggestions down in the comments below as well. And you know what to do. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. Those are all amazing things. Or you can become a member as well. Support me financially. Thank you to Regs C. Lee for being a member for the past 3-4 months. You are amazing. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. I will see you in the next one.